PR Connections Radio presents
Voices of humanity, we need to hear your voices. We need to hear your voices. Oh my goodness, I love that little video. I created it in my software. Hey, hey everybody. Welcome to Voices of Humanity at prconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media. What is that thing going? Is that you? Hey, welcome anyway. We don't know what that is. Welcome again. A warm, very warm welcome to Voices of Humanity at prconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media. I am your host, Sandra McKechnie. It is wonderful to be here. I'm excited for this show, and we probably will have another one might morph out of this one. And this beautiful woman here, Marlene May Henry, is a friend, and also she is a professional woman. Okay, she's got a lot going on, and she's going to share it with you. But I just wanted to welcome you and thank you. Thank you for those of you that join us and want to continue. You can go to the website, prconnectionsradio.com. There's all the shows from PR Connections Radio is there. And so is Voices of Humanity. Okay. So please subscribe, share, like. We would definitely appreciate that. It would help the network. And I would love people to see some of these shows. Some of them are I think all of them are great. But there are those ones that you'll watch that are just like these ones. The one we did one show before, right? We did a show already, and that was a few weeks ago. Yes, we only do the show twice a month, so we'd love you to join us anytime it gets out there. Please like, share, and comment. And also so the last show we did, we're extending Black History Month, right? We're extending it because for us it's like 360 some days a year. So we honored George Floyd, Emmett Till, George Steiny, and many others, Breonna Taylor, and different ones last week. We just mentioned them, and people get tired, I think, of hearing all this. But we're learning so much, and you're going to find out today why it's so important to us for us to remember some of this stuff, really bring it to the surface anytime we can, in a way that brings people to a certain awareness, right? That they tap into their unconscious unawareness. You know what I mean? Fingers over your eyes, thumbs in your ears, and then going from there into enlightenment, going further. All right, Marlene, I am going to introduce you, or you're going to introduce yourself, because you're not a guest anymore. I continue to do a few of these. Okay. Marlene, tell them a bit about yourself, girl.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sandra, for having me a second time. They said love is better the second time around, right?
I'm not, no comment.
So a little bit about myself. I am so honored to be the co-founder of an organization called Helping Hands International, and we're 18 years old, going to be 19 years this year. And what we do, we started as a little outreach down at the beaches in Toronto, and we've morphed. I like that word, morphed into something where we collaborate with like-minded organizations to provide support for pro-social change to marginalized communities. So we do that regionally and internationally. So at the local level, the regional level, the provincial level, and also international level. And and we collaborate with like-minded organization that has the same mandate, the same objectives, and we support them, or we come on board with them and help, especially with if they need grandfathering with their own organization. They're lacking in funding to underpin what they're doing. So we've been doing that for quite a while, and right now we are sitting with those youth that are incarcerated. And I don't know if you know, the incarceration rate for youth is it's wow. It's a lot. And so, yes. And so those organizations that provide conflict resolutions, anger management, and all
Mm.
those skills that they need when they are when they enter and when they exit the penal system, juvenile system. We're there to help to support those initiatives. So,
Mhm.
but also we also find resources for persons that, because within the Black community, if I don't know if you're aware, mental health and wellness from an individual perspective, where the cost to underpin or to cover costs, sometimes it's not available to families. So when we see those supports, we help to support those initiatives. And one of the things we sit with is the awareness. We thrive on helping persons to be aware.
Mhm.
We turn on the light. We get them awoke. So once they are awoke, we provide the information,
Mm.
we provide resources, and then we also help them to navigate through counseling spaces, but culturally appropriate counseling,
Ah, okay.
not just
That
yeah.
sounds, yeah.
Yes, and it's working. The needle is turning. The ship is going into the right direction or ship.
Mm.
And then I have another little project called Heart to Heart Connections, where I encourage folks to have what we call contemplative conversations
Mm.
or contemplative dialogue, where I like what I heard someone says, nothing is wrong with you, but something happened to you.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I often, when persons will say to me, I'm okay. I've had a good day.
Mhm.
And I went to sleep. And when I got up, I feel messed up. I don't know what is going on. And
Mm.
so we help them to sort of unpack what is going on. And we do this, we take them to stages where the picture, with the analogy we give is a house. Your life is a house. And in a house, you will allow persons to come into the living room. That's good. You're comfortable in the living room.
Mm.
Or the kitchen, where you interact, you can have a cup of tea and you have light conversation. Then there's the bedroom part of your life, where there's intimacy, there's some things you disclose that you wouldn't tell everybody. But then there's a closet that things are shut off. So we help them to journey into those spaces where, wow, this is why this is happening. This is why I feel the way I feel, because we take them back to bring them forward.
Mm.
Makes
Wonderful.
sense? And
Mm.
then oftentimes it either ignite them more, agitate them, or re-traumatize. And so we lean towards them getting counseling. So
Wonderful.
yeah.
Thank
And,
you.
and then lastly, I do
Sorry.
trauma healing. Trauma
Mm.
healing. I'm a certified trauma healing counselor of healing wounds of the heart, generational healing. So we facilitate these groups that we take them through that healing journey. So lots of heart to heart things we do.
Wow.
Yes,
Big stuff.
yes.
Do you have a TV on or something? Maybe it was something I was hearing bleeding into your mic for some reason. Nothing's on there, right?
Something is on. Do I go take it off?
Yes, you can. I'm just going to let people know about double consciousness. Okay. So double consciousness, feel free. And then you just listen. Feel
Okay.
free. So we're going into something today that we're going to actually talk about interracial marriages a little bit. So before you turn it off, we're going to share with you. You're going to see why it's so important that we talk about it. I was married to a Scottish man myself. That's where the name McKechnie come from, and he was pasty white. Yes, and I learned a lot. I really learned a lot of good things about myself, and not looking at him, but looking at me and where I was and how I positioned myself in that relationship, and a lot of wonderful things. But double consciousness about 2016. So it's how many years ago? Was that 8 years old? I started to do some research. And I bumped into this video by Dr. Joy DeGruy, who is amazing out here, okay, doing this incredible work. So it's called post-traumatic slave syndrome. And the first time I started to watch it, I was like, oh, what is this? And I got into that thing, I tell you right now. And she's totally a sociologist, therapist. She's amazing. Okay. So this woman started to talk about what happened to us, but it was the way she did it. And this is an hour and change. I tell you, I had to pause this video. I had to weep. I had to close down this AP. Okay. I had to weep and bawl when I really recognized that, because we have a disconnect. I did it. And, the people around, we're the stats, I asked my sister girls, it's like, you're disconnected too, right? You didn't really, we never connected ourselves to the mothership. We never connected ourselves to the land of the continent of Africa. We never connected ourselves. We came here, we're Black people, whatever. And you assimilate. And who has time to look back at all that? But sometimes we need to look back so we can go forward correctly,
Yes.
and kind of tweak some stuff back there. So we go through the time warp. So double consciousness has been around for a long time. It's a concept put forward, coined and honed by Dr. Oh my God.
D.D. Du Bois.
I know. I said it so much. W.E.B. Du Bois. And W.E.B. Du Bois is, he has two amazing books, Philadelphia Negro and The Soul of Black Folks. Now, I was listening to him, listening to this concept, read, and I'm thinking, this is us, And the more I get to know people from the continent, like say Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, etc., and a lot of West Africans, I recognize connectivity, right?
Yes.
It's like when I start to sing, my vocal instructor, she'll say, come on, use your stretchers. She's telling me to use, connect everything and give them full. So I started to connect myself to the continent.
Okay.
In a very big way. Okay. Beyond.
Okay.
And when I started to look at the fact that, oh my goodness, that they have something to do with me. We're connected, right? Yes. In our assimilation, we're same, but we're very different. Yes. And when I've been watching a lot of this stuff, Marlene, about people that the differences between African Americans, that would be us. We are in the Americas, even though it's Canada.
Yes.
Inside the Americas. So African Americans and Africans, people from the continent. One of the worst things we would be told back in the 80s is, go back to Africa. How dare you? Because why? We're taught, we're assimilated to think that, there are monkeys over there swinging from, from trees. Who wants to go back there?
Negative narratives.
Right. All of these things that came through the time warp, 18, 16, 1700, 18, 19, 20, here we are, 21st century. All of that stuff came with us. The self-hatred came with us, the lightening of skin, all of these things. My one of the first things my brother said, Marlene, when he came here, he said, Mommy, he's my older brother, he's passed now. But he said, Mommy, if I put white shoe polish on my face, will I turn white? And sometimes we make light of these things, but he was serious. And the caste distinction that was in my home back in Barbados in my grandmother's house was big for us. I got more food. And my brothers and sister, because they're a little darker than me, got less. I got half of an apple. Why they get a quarter? So there was just these incredible things that we now look at and think, okay, so we went back in time. Double consciousness. It's training, learning that we do. It's an 8-hour take session. You get an hour lunch. And we've been doing it. I've been doing it since end of 2016, beginning of 2017. And it has transformed. I'll tell you, we do something called scat. Not that kind of scat. Saturation, all right, conversion, application, and transformation. And it'll take to the end of your life, and won't even be done, of course, right? But it's all about how the people in the 21st century, the people brought over by the slave ships, colonization included, imperialism, etc., all of that, why they show up, how they show up in the 21st century, right? Yes. And we're not even talking color. We didn't make it color. Another nation made it about color.
Yes.
nations of people. And why are they such a threat? Who are these people?
Yes.
Woo, it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking about interracial marriages today. We have all of us, so please, no offense is intended here. All of us have mixed up in our family, Indian, either our Indian brothers and sisters, God, shipped them off from their homeland,
Mm-hmm.
threw them into a different of our islands and so on. It's a lot that has happened to a lot of people, specific groups of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's, please take no offense in this, but the beauty of where we're coming from today has everything to do with the pathology of this, right?
Yes.
What's the illness?
Yes.
The etymology, what happened to our men, what happened to our sisters, what happened to our children, and all of that. And I think that's huge. Please open with something about that for me, Marlene.
Well, I did a little research before I came to find, what could I share that would be relevant to in a holistic manner. And I came across this article from Very Well Mind. It's a site that it's a platform where they display or they cascade accurate data based on it's medically reviewed and confirmed and for accuracy and the content before they publish it. And it talks about the challenges with interracial marriages. And the concludes, I'll start with what it says before I go share with you what are some of the concerns. It says before one enters, I think, first of all, it's not for the faint-hearted when you enter into a marriage, because for one, it says a strong interracial marriage rests on strong beliefs in your own identity.
That's a show right there.
That's a show
right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if you go in it with false expectations, okay, or unaware of certain challenges, for example, with racism, which it's seen, not just seen and felt, it says. And in the society, it's deep, whether we're in North America or anywhere. As a Black person entering into a marriage, you are at a disadvantage if you're not aware of certain situations or experiences that you will have to confront, you will have to deal with. For example, interracial marriages, there will be scrutinies. Okay, there will be times when your own identity might be overshadowed. Your own self, you might be lost. You get lost in the shuffle, and so it plays in that you'll probably find yourself having double consciousness, living double consciousness, where you're forced to behave in a certain sanitized manner. And then you have to switch over to your own cultural way of life. And so it can be mentally and emotionally draining, taxing. And so you find yourself have to do a connect, disconnect, and reconnect. It's the hopping and skipping. And so if you don't understand your own self and be solidified in who you are, and knowing that this is your playground, this is it, you're going to be frustrated.
I mean, other nations can do that as well. You have a Chinese woman married to an Italian man. The grandchildren have to go to the Italian grandmother one weekend, and then, so there is a spectrum of double consciousness on many levels.
Yes,
well,
very
much
much so.
So different. What would be so different than about the people that were brought across to the trade marrying so-called white? Excuse the bywords. But what would be so different about that?
One of the things that would be different, it's almost as if you're married into your colonized, you're marrying back into the system of being enslaved, and being subjugated, of being controlled, without consciously knowing that could be a bias. That could be something playing out That is why it's important to know your own identity. Another thing that is something to think about is how you're going to raise your kids, because they're going to be struggling with double identity. And
that's big. That's
and
big.
yeah, and here's a scenario based on my experience with having dialogue with persons that are in such relationships with children. Some children will ask a bunch of questions, and they have the tenacity and the strong will to navigate. They know to pivot. Other kids are traumatized because of the stigma they receive, the stereotypes, the stereotypical tendencies towards them, and it can be psychological bearings on them. And another child is able to pivot, or it doesn't matter. They go quiet. They're the silent when they just take the bullying. They're silent. They're the silent players. So one of the things as if to have an effective, I would say, an effective and sustained interracial marriage is communication, communication, communication. You can't have too much of that. And to be open. One of the things we're taught, we learn, is that you have to be a compassionate listener, because there are times when your spouse has to come to your defense, and there's sometimes when you have to know how to not take offense. Because the article talks about, here's some of the things it says, you will find these challenges that you are derogatory comments are made about you, loss of contact with friends or family who disapprove. So the family dynamics can change or will be challenged, and you'll have to make those decisions. Negative comments through media, even open hostility and intimidation. Rejection, also rejection from family or disinheritance. And sometimes you might have a sense of isolation. Those things are real.
Definitely. That's important for sure, but there's a undercurrent to that, a huge underneath of that. And that would be, I'll give an example. In school, I remember, you've come here off the ship. How many hundreds of years ago? It wasn't 2,000 years ago. It's just the other day. People are dying from that were enslaved early 19th century. So now you are come off the ship. You are here. You're going to be like everybody else.
Yes.
This was a horror movie, having locks back in the day.
Back then,
my parents were like, oh my gosh, in the continent, it's going to be different in Nigeria. It's going to be different in Ghana. We are here. They have the struggles there too. A lot going on because of colonization, of course. And many of them will concede and say, oh my gosh, what you guys went through, we never went through nothing like that. They went through horror, but
on their own soil.
Yes, absolutely. And with their ethnicity and names.
Yes.
So the undercurrent for interracial marriages, as I have studied and learned and listened and listened to my own, is where are you when we talk about the Stockholm syndrome, aligning yourself with your captors, even defending them and making excuses. So there's something that happens in an interracial marriage that there can be a loss of self and identity completely if you don't know who you are. And if you are a person, all of us that were in the, came across, and then descendants, all our parents taught us here was, come on, keep your nose clean, just study hard, work hard, harder than harder, because we gotta, right?
Yes.
We can't go in a hotel room. Dr. Joy talks about this.
Yes.
We gotta clean it before the cleaners come in. That's just the way we taught. Leave it, what I'm saying? It's a different mentality, and it's difficult to understand unless you sit with a group of people like my sister Marlene and I, and we get together with some girls. But when I was in school, and I remembered, I was just genuinely, wanting to go to the prom with this tall white guy with blonde hair, brunette, blondish hair. And a friend of mine, I said, I want to go to the prom with him, with my assimilated self. And innocent in my mind. And said, I want to go to the prom with him. And she looked at me, she went, You're not going to go to, you don't like black people. He's not going to go to the prom with you. It's almost like, get over yourself. Are you crazy? At that moment, I didn't know any of this. I didn't understand. I just thought, well, I'm one of you. No, you ain't. So there's certain ways, because my friend, we were tight, hanging out together, having a good time. She didn't mean any ill will, but you know what? It's something is passed to her. You ever saw Alien? The infection is in the capsule.
So you were, what you were experiencing there was an invisible line that you didn't know was there.
Yeah, you don't cross that. And see, these times in our lives, remember, it's a slap in the back of your head, remember who you are kind of a thing.
Yes.
You don't register that until you grow and learn some stuff. So when I see some of my sisters assimilating, and you can play, if you don't know who you are, this is the challenge and the bottom line, and we're going to get to some of this, is you press the default button in a dominant construct. You will press the default button to whiteness, excuse the byword, to the other nation. Doesn't matter who, if you're white, green, beige, you're going to press that default button because you don't want no trouble. You want to get along. Yes. You want to be all right.
You don't want to disrupt the disruption.
Oh, no. Next thing people are going, let's you bringing all the cultural stuff up in here. Yes. And don't I went to a church once and a sister, I'm singing, right? Doing this it was a cultural kind of piece, and I'm doing it. Mostly white people in the church. And this woman pulled me aside and she said, she's a black woman, sister. She said, she was concerned. She said, I like you. Just gave him enough. You just give him too much.
Not too much.
People would say, what does that mean? Hey, Dean, her and I, we're connected. I know what she's saying without saying it.
Yes.
You don't want to give him too much soul. You only get up there and, hey, glory to God. No. So she was trying to tell me.
She's trying to tell you this is a sanitized space. Don't disrupt it. Don't come with your unsanitized self.
This is it, right? Don't come up in here and make it bad for us. Okay, up in a big house. And honestly, she was done it truly and genuinely. And see, I don't say that with anything feeling badly about her in any way, because now I look and I recognize that sanitized space, we've been assimilated not to have identity. If you're going to show your identity, wait till you get with your own people in your little corner.
Exactly.
Right? Don't be showing up your identity up in here.
Yes.
So this is the challenge. You will press the default button if you love that person. There was that couple, the Lovings. That was a big, I think it was in the 40s. The Lovings got married, a black woman, white man. And of course, she was a light-skinned lady, right? Parents were she was mixed, but we identify as black when you see a little brown coming.
Yes.
They call you black, right?
Yes.
My sister. So that marriage, and there was quite a bit of that, people that genuinely loved each other, even at the times of total oppression, civil rights movement, slavery.
But it was risky.
Of course it was risky, but I almost go for those marriages for real, because that individual, whether it's a white man or white woman, they were in the struggle with the individual they married. They were actually in that.
So they were strong enough, and they knew what they brought in, and they knew what they were up against. So this is the meat of the matter. You got to know what you're in, and what is asked of you, what you're able to give and receive, and how you're going to navigate. It's all about awareness.
Absolutely. And what happens to us when we come here?
Yes.
We're 8 years old. We are totally unaware of our unawareness.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Unaware of unawareness until you become aware. And once you're woke, you can't go back to sleep. You have to.
Mercy. Yes. It's almost impossible.
It knocks on your door. It knocks on your heart. It knocks on your life to respond.
Yes.
You can't pretend. Yes. Just like you were reiterating about telling us about your experience in high school. Once you knew that you couldn't say I don't know, or because you know what that does? It evokes a feeling in you, something that was dormant.
Absolutely. And it's not to say you don't love the person. Absolutely. No. But in this life, as I connect with people on the continent and make that connect with the polars and stretchers, my vocal instructor would call it, vocally, spiritually, everything. That's just a metaphor I'm making here. But it's like, even when you trying to go along and do you, but you You have to connect with the you that you left back there. That's what
And
I'm saying.
and here's
Go
it.
forward.
The
You got to
opposite of
go back, rewind, and then go forward.
the opposite of that, not having that pressure, is if you're in an environment where you're free to be you, there's no need to explain because you're being you.
Yes, but to be free to be you, you got to go back through the time warp.
Yes, you do.
Make that
But when you
connection.
get that opportunity
Yeah,
to go back
for
and
sure.
come back,
For
then you
sure.
are free, and then you're free to be
Absolutely.
your authentic self.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There was
Absolutely.
a friend of mine shared with me, and she says it's okay to share. She had a cousin that got married to an English guy, and every night she would put her hair in curlers, but she would put a scarf and she would go to bed. And you remember those old time curlers that would squeeze your head, those ones with the little,
I remember them, sister.
those abrasive ones. Yes, because in the in,
Woo-hoo.
in the morning she wanted her hair to look nice and flowy, and she was so tired of it that once she broke down and started crying. And then she shared with her spouse and says, no, it's okay. You can do, you don't have to do that. But what made the question, what made her think she had to be made up
Absolutely.
to please?
Absolutely. And that's going on in the continent, a lot of that, right? Our sister girls, I mean, I love me some Nigerian movies. Hello.
Yes.
I see some of my sister girls and I go, girl, you don't look good. You're a beautiful woman. What are you doing with all of that?
Mhm.
Right? Like we're covering something. And then even in the movies, they'll take it off and I'm going, okay, that's scary. I got you because now you've got me. You got me liking how you looked before. But no, genuinely I don't, because it's beyond. And there's the lightning and this and that. And you can see it. And it really kind of hurts,
Mhm.
right? And it caused me to just tap in a little bit more to this work. Even the beautiful moments that were ugly, but I've turned them into something wonderful. And I know you have too. When I went to sing at this organization that everybody wanted to get into, but only white people used to come to this women's group in Toronto.
Yes.
Right? And I got into that women's group. I went there. I was singing the next month. I know you've heard this story. My friend was singing the other month. She was singing that month, and I was singing the next month. And we went in, and I was so excited. And I said, "Oh, my goodness!" I said, "I'm so glad to be here. I'm singing next month. I'm just here to support my friend." And the whole arrangement was made over the phone. The woman never told me. I walked in there with these hanging down. This was years ago. And she looked at me, and she went, "Oh, you're singing next month?" I said, "Oh, yes." I said, we talked, blah, 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 blah. "Oh, no, I don't think so."
There
And
you go.
she looked at me, and there were all what we call here fur coats in the room. And I said, "Well, yes, I am. You got to look, you got to check." I was so excited because everybody wanted to get here. I don't know why we want, when you're young, you always want to get somewhere. And I remember it was almost like asking her to look in the Lamb's Book of Life to see if my name was written there.
Yeah.
And she said, "I don't think so. I have to look into that." I went to my seat and I sat down. I plopped down. My friend, who's Greek, white lady, came around. She plopped down in front of me and she said, "Oh my God, I think they're prejudiced." But it was the way the woman looked at me and dealt with me.
Yes.
And
Demeaning.
on the phone, I don't have a Caribbean accent. I didn't answer the phone like, "Hey, yes, I'm coming up there next week." It was it was this voice. It was my assimilated voice. So she couldn't see me.
Yes.
And when I got there, I'm telling you, it ripped a piece out of me. It was
Yes.
like there's a card in your purse you're not supposed to use.
Yes.
It starts with an M. You're not
Yes.
supposed to pull out that card. And if you use it, you should be shamed.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I thought, I can't use that card. What is this? Because you start thinking something is totally wrong with you tripping. And it's when my friend sat down in front of me and she said, "Oh my God, I think they're prejudiced." And I thought, where did she come up with that? And it validated me in some way. And of course, I didn't know anything now, but go ahead, sweetie.
Well, here's the thing. The same thing with interracial marriage. They will find themselves in spaces where somebody says, "Is that your wife?" "Oh, I didn't know she was B."
Been there, done that.
Yes. So it's the awareness is that you have to come in swinging and come out swinging. You can't, if you're a passive person, if you are one that is docile, it's going to be hard because the the hitting back is coming. You have to be aware that these are the things that will happen. Not some of them are intentional and some are not, but this is the reality. And let me go back again to the children, those that are in the inheritance of this marriage. Those, you're going to have your work cut out for you. You really seriously have to think about how you're going to rear your kids. What are you going to share? The feedback is share good stories. Tell. Do tell. Do tell where you're coming from. Do share with them where your history and your spouse's history. Give them something to work with, lean on, glean from.
Yes, absolutely.
And support them.
Absolutely.
Because they can be lost in the game.
Even with double consciousness, we give so many resources because we want people to just plug something in your house. You don't even have to say anything. It doesn't have to be a big deal. Plug in Dr. Joy DeGruy, you know.
I love her. I love her.
Yeah, Catrice Jackson. Well, no, she might be. I don't think people could handle Catrice. Catrice Jackson is Weapons of Whiteness, and it's a heavy, heavy duty.
Oh, here's the thing too. Talking about weaponizing, some of the narratives that we're called into confronting can be daunting. It can trigger things in us that we don't want to go there. And I've met clients that say, no, I'm not ready. This is too much. So incrementally biting into it. Yeah. But avoiding it won't help because it's our reality. It's our lived reality. And the more delayed our consciousness is, the harder for us to catch up and to be able to reconcile the things that, as you said, nothing is wrong with us, but something happened. And some persons choose to go, into denial mode or freeze mode or flight mode, but that doesn't negate the fact that it happens. It happened.
Yeah, definitely. Even in when we were doing our trainings, forms, double consciousness, we had to have social workers there because I'll tell you, one lady dropped down on the ground, start bawling because it is an if, and people would say, what's wrong with her? Well, she's connecting, going back and forward. And she's trying to come forward, but it's traumatic.
And when we connect, it is true. Here's the truth, the real deal. When we connect or reconnect, it is traumatic. It's not. It's we are traumatized.
You've been double conscious.
Yes. Oh yes. I did all three, and I've never been the same. And you know what? I don't want to be the same. I don't want to go back to ignorance.
Yeah. No, it's true.
I can't. I really can't.
Because you start to wonder. So we talk about the interracial marriage. You start to wonder why. My white husband used to say to people, "She's not like them. She's not like them." As compared to what? What does that mean? Right? And one of his family members said, she was having some trouble with some people from an island that all of us are from, apparently. Initially, all of us, we know the island. Everybody's from there. My brothers and sisters. I don't want to name it because I don't want anybody to get vexed, but everybody's from this island. So she came back and she said it to me a couple of times. And they're black, my brethren. They would have made terrible slaves. She's there, their work ethic. They would make terrible slaves. Who says that to someone like me? Well, it's how I presented myself because I didn't know who I am. So I present white. What does that mean? I'm just using and
why
it's how I present why people think, because I have not connected to myself, right? And came forward again. So now people can think they can say what they like. And of course, I'm in this marriage. I have pressed the default button. So these are the people I'm talking to today. These are the people we want to share with. If you're out there pressing the default button, guarantee I could sign on a dotted line that something's missing.
Yes.
Go ahead. More.
As you were talking, I'm also thinking, why would the person that said that to you, what would cause them to say that to you without expecting a response? How docile were you? How acceptance of you were of your lived situation, that you seem to, were you like you were comatose or sedated or subdued?
Cognitive dissonance, and that's the reality, right? So we have so put ourselves, the way you're living doesn't connect to actually who you really are. My DNA is crying out, Sandra, wake up. you know?
Yes.
Not because you dislike whites. Oh no, my
No.
sisters are white. We sit at a table and we break bread. My people in my family marry white, right? And they're still married. So there's this sort of thing where knowing who you are, though, can
Yes.
cause you to remember you are of a peculiar people. You are of a peculiar people. And we have been taught to forget who we are and just assimilate. It's a melting pot, after all, in the Americas, right?
Yes.
So now we have to be conscious. So there's a where was I? When I walked into a room. I told this is one of my stories. I love it. Marlene, bring some of your stories too. Like, not like nothing happened to you. So anyway, I was working with a beautiful woman. I used to do. I was like a PSW doing some home care years ago, and I knew her family. Her sister came in. I knew the first son, but I didn't know the baby. I never met the baby. So she rolled the child in, I think 2 to 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
The child saw me, looked at me, and started to cry viscerally, like bawl. And immediately, it was just like an instinctive thing. I thought maybe I had something on my face. I said, is there something on my face?
Mm-hmm.
And Mom informed me that the child was not socialized, like to be around Black people. Clear as day.
Wow.
I never forget it. Some things. So talk about dissonance. You have to file it somewhere so you don't have to deal with it. It's only 6 years ago when I started this work that I went, Lord, thank God for Dr. Joy DeGruy.
Yes.
Dr. Joy, if you ever watch this, thank God for you. Because reality.
Yes.
You got to watch that, people. If you pass this video, Dr. Joy DeGruy,
Mm-hmm.
post-traumatic slave syndrome. Please.
I have her book and I have her workbook. Beautiful.
Right?
Yes, I have her workbook. Yeah.
So that reality is when we start filing things, and this is before you enter into a marriage and you're going to have children, especially the children. You can marry all you want, but the children,
yes,
huge.
And the recommendation is, you have to develop a system by which you can be open and honest with your feelings, share your feelings with your partner, and work together to sort it out and be honest. It says make that you can talk about your issues and talk about your feelings without having it built up and so it will hurt your marriage. These feelings from building up and working out these troubling issues together. So communication, you can't have enough of it, because being in a marriage that is not interracial has its own problems. Interracial marriage, there's another layer, compounding layer, where, and as we were saying before, you can marry all you want and you can navigate those spaces and you can probably, go through and, pivot. But when it comes to the children, having children, where that is another issue, you need to give them all the tools that they need to navigate.
That's big. It was a grandmother close to where I live. Her child, she's white. Her white child married a Black man, byword. And I invited her to forums because I said, for the grandchildren, they're pretty dark, right?
Yes.
So they're mixed. So, and she hemmed and hawed, and I called her again. Come on over. She said, I can't believe that anybody would harm my children. Because we were talking about young men,
yes,
like my nephew, mixed Portuguese, and he's light. You can see still the brown in him. You can still see it.
Yes.
And with all that's going on in terms of the way our men are oppressed and stereotyped out here,
yes,
some policemen, all they need is to see a little of that brown, and it triggers something going back again. Okay. Because we all came through the time warp together, and here we were. I'm Black, you're white, byword, excuse me. I've got what? Post-traumatic slave syndrome. You've got a good case of cognitive dissonance, because you still can't, in the 21st century, realize that my great somebody. No, you've disconnected in the same way I did.
The reality of the preferential treatment, as in we have experienced in in the West Indies with the different colorization of kids.
The caste system, yes, definitely.
It's happening even now where you have
Absolutely.
two kids and their colors are different. One will be preferred over the other, even in society. The police will approach one with a different mindset or a disposition than the other. So they need all the support.
Absolutely. Most definitely.
To thrive, survive, and flourish, and to be able to stand up on their own.
My God. And Marlene, you have experienced something serious in terms of, interracial marriage has to do with a what, like we're saying, going back and coming forward. We do this a lot in double consciousness, right? Let's go back in the time warp, 21st century, 20, 19, 18, and we go back again and we keep going back. Because people will get in that motion that it is with you. Have you seen Alien? Watch it. It's a wonderful example when Sigourney Weaver put that beautiful little blonde girl in that capsule and thought she had fought off that beast. You remember the beast? Did you watch it?
That thing scared me. Oh my God.
And then she went in the capsule herself, Sigourney Weaver, and she fell asleep. Got back to Earth, the child dead up. Dead. Right? Because the thing was with them. It came to the time warp with them.
It's a monkey on the back.
Oh my goodness. So people say, oh, forget about that. No. If you brown, you're not going to forget, especially they refer to brown people as our Indians. We're brown too. Okay. You guys had trauma too. A lot.
Yes,
I mean, a lot.
We did.
So honestly, we don't tell everybody, you just don't live from here forward. We have to go back.
We must.
And to grab that stuff, heal from it, honestly, because I didn't want to. I had no intention. I was just marrying a white man and just going, la da da da, right?
Yes.
But within that interracial marriage, sometimes I couldn't even look at a brother. There's a reason. You feel
of course, or the brother look at you funny.
Yes. Or he looks
reciprocating, and the look he gives you, you know what he's saying without saying. He's looking at you in a tone of voice.
That's and sometimes the white husband would see them looking, he'd start kissing me or grabbing me or doing some foolishness.
I got this. Say, I got this. I took one of yours.
So there's a lot of components to this thing.
Of course. These are the things I said you have to be prepared to live with, to deal with, to navigate.
Have mercy. Because when you see the way we even look at each other, you know, like a friend of mine, I tell people this one too. We went into Dairy Queen one day. We're going to Dairy Queen and some brothers outside with hoodies on. Yeah. And I get out her car and I said, girl, I'm looking at them, you know, and I say, they look like they're going to rob the place. And she looked at me and she went, I can't even stand you. And she just started marching for it to go get her ice cream. And I went, oh my gosh. Well, you know what they were there doing? They came to rob the place. No, they didn't. They came to eat ice cream.
Stereotype. Right.
Girl, yeah. I was so embarrassed. I said, Lord, you know, because
you were a little brainwashed.
Honestly. I mean, people could say, oh, they shouldn't have been wearing hoodies. They wear what they want. The point is, we were conditioned to think certain things about each other as well, right?
Yes. So so the process of what we learned, we have to unlearn and relearn, but go back. That what was lost, go find it and come back. Once you come back, you're going to be a different person. You're going to be in that marriage self-assured. Yes. You're going to be in that marriage as a contributor, but you're going to be in that marriage with your authentic self.
Yes.
Assertive, assured, taking your place without guilt or shame. There's no shame in the game, but but you also have to know there's a responsibility on you.
Absolutely.
Forever on you and for your kids. There is.
And it's a certain allegiance that certain people have to their nation. It happens every day. Yeah. If I'm going to help my a young Black sister or say something encouraging to a young, Black brother, do I not need to have a certain allegiance and put my skin in the game?
Yes.
Right. And try to be whole to do so.
Yes.
This is the beauty of it now. And I would ask that people would go listen to people like James Sardanis, Social Dominance Theory, James Sardanis. And honestly, Dr. Joy DeCrue, you got to watch that.
Yes.
And Tommy Curry, the man not. He's all about the black man and
be prepared to be challenged.
Woo!
Be prepared to learn something.
I've been challenged by some great
Be
people.
prepared. Yeah, you gotta tell them. Be prepared to lament.
Yes, you're gonna lament. Okay,
Be prepared to contemplate. Yeah, be prepared to meditate.
You're gonna lament.
Yes.
You honestly will.
Yes.
All right.
But you will heal. You will heal.
Oh my gosh, yes. And it takes a minute, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. We are definitely thrilled. I mean, we're thrilled about being here with you guys. And I think we should bring a video next time.
Yes.
A little something, you know, just because I've watched so many of them. I'm sure if you find something, flip it to me. I've got one in mind, but if there's something poignant about this, and I think people go into this stuff thinking that we're all the same. Okay, yeah, we're all the same. We're sympathetic. We love each other, want to care for each other, right? I asked a friend of mine, if your son, a white young man, married a black woman, what would you do? And she said, well, I think it would be easier if he didn't. I get that.
But she's speaking the truth. It's true.
She is. At the time, I was like, but now that I know.
This is what we're saying. This is exactly what I just said. She gets it.
And you've got other nations. They are completely into that. They're marrying their own people because they get their faith. Our faith in everything. Everything is on the line. When we make it's a fad decision, a fad that you want to just marry this. Oh, no, I'm just looking for, where's that Chinese girl I saw? Like you just look for whoever. That's a beautiful woman.
No, let's challenge this there, Sandra. When we talk about the Caribbean, remember, and this came to me as a revelation, and we can talk about that maybe another time. We actually had some DNA of our colonizers in us because we were colonized and inbreed, and yeah. So for us to think it's not unheard of to think that I'm going to marry a white, or because in where I come from, there's Chinese, there's Indian, East Indian, there's white, there's a tapestry.
Yes.
There's a United Nations there. So why would we not go there or think not to go there? Because as I said to folks, I'm in you and you are in me. This is the experimental part of what colonization has done by breeding folks, crossbreeding. Yes. But it has its consequences.
Oh, definitely. And I hear what you're saying. My grandfather is Scottish. That's my daddy. You see my daddy? He almost pasty white. He's getting whiter as he gets older.
As a matter of fact, we can end with this. We'll give the audience something to think about. Back in my country, years ago.
Oh my goodness.
If a black couple has a child and the child comes out looking different in color and features, you know who they sent to call?
Who, the postman?
No, grandma. And grandma would say, oh yes, it's your child, but Bakramasa or your great grandmother had was molested or was breed by the Bakram, whatever, the white guy, the white slave guy. Yes, the plantation. Yes, and you're talking about coming back into the generations. I don't know if you've read this book, Colgadora by Gail Jones. It shows up. Her mom says, "Add generations to show up what happened." So this is what we inherited. And so once grandma says, "Yes, it's your child," and she has this child, and she'll have 3 more, and each of them would look different. In those days, they popped up.
Definitely. And I always say to people to that, it's not my white side I'm worried about. It's my black side.
And here's another thing we will challenge us about as black folks. Sometimes we are the oppressor as well as the oppressed.
Explain that one.
Oppressor. We oppress each other. That side of us come.
Crabs in a barrel. Yes.
Yes. And then another time we feel oppressed by somebody else. But we look at a tug of war. It's this thing go back and forth. So we have to be conscious to recognize these things, our own prejudice, our own weaknesses, our own deficiency, our own tendencies,
definitely,
and guard against those things. And sometimes we deliberately say, okay, I'm going to pass. I'm going to go white. I'm going to marry someone till I can pass. I can get it easier. So we different reasons, but we have to be honest. See, we have to be honest in our intentionality, the motive. But we must always be aware of the consequences, responsibility that is called upon us while we're navigating these spaces.
We got to get back at these people next time, Marlene. We got to, because I am interested to find out, and I'd love to hear from you. And this evokes thought. It really does. It just evokes thought, because I've woken up going, oh my gosh. If I see my ex, I'd hug him up, and we did talk and say, I wasn't really supposed to be with you. And I knew it.
There you go. Okay, so you're one of those that would.
Now I know.
You're honest enough to say yes.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yes. I didn't know then, but I stepped back and I went, "Whoa, wow! I wasn't really supposed to be with you. Oh my gosh!" So not because just it's not about the white and the black and how dark I am, because there's my granddaddy and my father, but it's that whole
trauma, that whole thing you got to work through. That
but it's not identity. It's dominant. If you just look at what we are, even that blackness that's in you right now, you interracial person.
Yes.
It's a very dominant thing, and you really got to look into the science on that. Even our melanin, it's the chemical key to life. The darker the skin, the darker the skin, the more dehumanized. The darker the skin, the more intuitive. Hello.
Yeah, I feel like clubber you're in the head right now.
Why? Why?
No, I mean, what's in you, the things that come out of you. Right? Yeah, you have to recognize, Why do I feel, as I said before, person that says, Marlene, I wake up in the morning, I feel like I feel like I want to get crazy. Why? I'm on the attack. What is happening? It says, there's an internal war going on that you have to recognize and reconcile. What is happening? So
I got a black animal too. No prejudice. She needed a home, and she's 16. I've had her for 16. You just happen to be black. Girl, let's come back at this. It's been a flight. I love real talk. We don't plan up anything.
Beautiful. I love it too. So you know what? This is Black mental health wellness. This is how you do it.
It is. I could never have done this show 6 years ago.
You gotta, let it out. Let it rip. Let it out.
Don't be shy to let it out. You hear? Get your sister girls, your brother men. Get it together. Let it out. Okay, I'm not. Okay, and love y'all, people with interracial marriage. Praise
you tell them you can laugh and cry at the same time. It's all wellness.
Right. Absolutely. Treat each other well. That's the concern. Just treat each other well, and whoever you are, whatever nation you're at. Because I got my white sister girl. Michelle. She's beautiful. I mean, she had to look at herself. Some of my white sister girls, they had to look at themselves.
Yes.
Because I was doing the work and they came to the farms, right? They had to look at them too and understand the part that their ancestors had to play in this. It's hard.
Yes. Hard work.
Yourself. Bless you. Marlene, you're a darling. Welcome you. And I thank you
again. Thank you.
Wonderful.
We'll do this again. Blessings. Blessings.
Double consciousness and PRconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media. Thank you for joining us on Voices of Humanity.
See you again. Blessings.
Bye.
Bye.
No.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.